Laura Harmon, Madam Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters. My icebreaker speech is Canada, eh? I'm going to tell you a very personal story, one that I have not told in a long time, and very few people know about me. When I was 9 years old, I was kidnapped by my father. We were headed to Canada. We were going to change our names. I picked out my name, Ginger Grant, from Gilligan's Island, the movie star. Here I go. Now, why would we be headed to Canada to change our names? Well, it was 1978, and my parents were involved in a bitter divorce and a custody battle over their one and only precious child. Back then, there was no joint custody, at least not that we heard of. Custody was always awarded to the mother. Well, my father had volunteered for Vietnam, and he had fought for freedom and for rights. He was in the Army, military intelligence. He would not stand for such an injustice. He fought for me now, and for his rights as my father. My mother, on the other hand, she protested Vietnam. She was a hippie. She loved the Beatles. She worshipped Bob Dylan. How these two got together, I have no idea. The problem now is they spent so much time making allegations, accusing each other of being the most unfit parent on the planet, which is how you go about getting custody, that the judge believed them. And he decided they were both nuts. His words. I will never forget sitting in my father's attorney's office when the secretary came in to let us know that there was a Bexar County sheriff and San Antonio police officer in the lobby. They were looking for me. They had a picture and were in a temporary order to put me in a children's home until this whole mess could be figured out. Well, my father hid me under the desk while the attorney went out and lied, said we were not there. And then my father gave me a choice because that's what he believed in. He was a freedom fighter. He did not believe in discipline or telling his child what to do. It was my choice, my freedom to decide my fate, even though nobody else saw it that way. Not my mother, not the judge, not the court system. Your property when you're a 9-year-old child. You have no rights. So the choice was go to Canada, change our names, new identities, but understand, you will never come back to San Antonio. You will never see your mother, your family, your friends. You can never reveal who you are. Or go outside with Bexar County Sheriff and go to a children's home where I would eventually, surely be awarded custody to my mother, made to live with my mother, whether I wanted to or not. I said, let's go to Canada. Now, why would I not want to live with my mom? What little girl doesn't want to live with her mom? Well, she kidnapped me first. When I was 6 years old, she picked me up from kindergarten, little red caboose, and said we were going to the circus. We traveled for 2 days. Crossed desolate West Texas. We ended up in New Mexico. We lived with an old college boyfriend of hers. I counted the days away from my father. On the 36th day, we drove back to San Antonio for a court appearance, and my father talked my mother into giving him just one more chance. And so they stayed married for 3 more years. The truth is, he was biding his time, and he was preparing me what seemed like every night for that day, he told me, that would come, that day when my mother would try to take me away from him yet again. So it came as no surprise on April 28, 1978, when my mother showed up to my Clear Spring 3rd grade elementary class, and I heard I was to go to the principal's office for a dentist appointment. I went to my teacher. There is no dentist appointment. There was no circus. Call my dad. She took me by the hand and marched me to the principal's office. We went straight home. New deadlocks on the doors, trash bags on the windows, my father's suitcases on the doorstep, and a 10-day restraining order lay on top. If he were to come near, he would be put in jail, she explained to me. This was the day. This was war, and my father had prepared me. So why am I not Ginger Grant living in Canada? My father stopped just shy of the Oklahoma border. He probably realized the felony he was about to commit, came to his senses, called an old college buddy who had become an attorney, and his buddy said this. He said, "You have not lost the battle yet, buddy. Go home, lose first, then take her to Canada." We were only gone 6 days, which is a long time actually. I think we spent some time. He must have been really thinking about whether we were going to do this or not. All the way home, though, he prepared me yet again. He trained me. If we came back and he lost custody, then here was the plan. I would like to be moved out of state, go live with my mom, my grandmother in Elkhart, Indiana, and one day I'd be at the mall, busy mall, and I was to kind of maybe get away from my mom every chance I could, and a stranger would appear when my mom wasn't looking, and he would show me a picture of my father. And then it was my choice. If I wanted to live with my dad, I would simply walk away with him. When we got back to San Antonio, my mom was so terrified, she realized how close she came to losing me forever, that she threw in the towel. And she gave up full custody of me to my father. And she waited many years for me to come around and to return to her, which I eventually did. But that's another speech.